Welcome to the Fit Goddess podcast. I am your host, Xena, with Temple Xena Goddess Fitness. I am an online nutrition, fitness, and mindset coach for women, and specifically working with women to transform their bodies and their minds outside of the diet culture paradigm. This is the very first day of the podcast. So, Happy New Year. And I decided to take this opportunity in time to launch this podcast, which has been a dream of mine for a while. And I thought no better time than to start out the new year with this podcast. And this very first episode, I'll warn you, it's probably going to be a little messy because this is something new for me to do. So just like as I work with my clients and I encourage them when you're learning something new, let it be messy at first. Don't let the need to feel like you need to do it perfectly stop you from taking action. And so as a coach, I need to walk my talk, and that's what I'm doing. So I have been coaching for the last few years, but the transition into podcasting is a new adventure for me. And I am okay with letting it be a little messy. And I am glad you are here with me for the launch date and to see how we grow. So, for this first episode, I basically wanted to introduce myself and introduce what the podcast will be about, what my intentions are for it, and then see who wants to join along in this community of women. Okay, so my name again is Xena, and I started Temple Xena Goddess Fitness as my coaching business in 2020 as a pivot that I was making during COVID, during those years. And one of the reasons that I developed my program was one, as I had returned to my fitness journey and was having success, I had a lot of people who were asking how I was doing what I was doing and if I would be able to coach them. And so after all of the education that I had, I decided to create a program that didn't really exist when I was at the beginning of my learning process and in my returning to fitness. I had become very frustrated over the years after having kids, found it very hard to lose weight, build the muscle I wanted, just basically get back into the shape that I wanted to get into, and struggled with that for a number of years. And then finally, when that unlocked for me and I learned what I needed to learn and put those pieces in place and had my own physical transformation, a number of years after that, wanting to help women do that themselves, I decided to create what was not available to me when I first started. And when I found myself very frustrated and unable to lose weight after having children and kind of get back into the shape that I had desired, I was fighting a lot with my body and I was struggling a lot. And some of the first initial coaching that I had was also not helpful. It's really hard to make your way through a lot of the misinformation that's online, a lot of the diet trends. And I can tell you that I did just about every trend that you could do. And I had been through all of those and still not finding success. And some of the coaches that I had were coaches that were actually coaching within these very diet culture trends themselves. And I found myself frustrated because I wasn't getting, as an educator, as someone who had been an educator for all of my life before I started Temple Xena. I had owned and operated my own Montessori preschool. I trained teachers getting their certification. I've spent my entire life being an educator. So moving into the coaching realm was a pretty easy transition for me. But at the beginning, when I was hiring some of my own coaches, was finding that I was just lacking the kind of education and information that I was after. Some of my coaches were asking me to just sort of blindly follow whatever paradigm they were setting out in front of me. I had coaches who told me not to think, just do, don't think. And that didn't set well with me as someone who's an educator. I had coaches who really only focused on the nutrition and training piece, but really weren't there to focus on any sort of the mindset pieces. And so this was another area in coaching. And not to say that all of my coaches, I had some many good coaches over the years as well. But what I had found by and large was that I wasn't getting the education I was seeking, and that mindset was something that was really missing in a lot of the coaching realm. And that most of the mindset that I was finding in the coaching realm was really around, just being positive, was really around the idea of, just being mentally tough. That mindset was, where you just ignore and block out things that are happening in your life to get your training done. And for me, that didn't quite cut it. For me, I found that to be very problematic on multiple levels. For me, mindset and what I wanted to bring into my program, it was more about understanding that as we do these things, as we're transforming our bodies, as we're maybe learning new habits, putting new habits into place, we are going to butt up against some of our limiting beliefs, subconscious programming. A lot of things can come up for us on a fitness journey. So it's not just about having the diet plan and the nutrition plan. And of course, those things are ultimately, those are very important pieces to have in place and to have correct information on. But also hugely, that mindset piece was really important, because you can have, and my clients know I always say this, you can have the perfect training plan, you can have the perfect nutrition plan, but if you can't get your mindset in place, then that's going to be really hard to execute on that. And it's not just about being positive, and it's not just about willpower, and it's not just about not letting your emotions affect your training program. It's really about letting the fitness journey help you discover aspects of yourself, help you discover belief systems that you might have that aren't serving you, and then having a structure around how to identify those and how to move past those. Okay. How to restructure our subconscious mind to hold a new belief as we become a different person. And that was a really important piece of the boot camp. And I think it's been a really very, in the feedback that I've gotten with the clients who have been through the boot camp, that's been just the secret sauce, the magic part of it. And then helping women come to their fitness journey from a place of self-love rather than shame, and coming into their personal power through the fitness journey. And that's why I developed the Fit Goddess Boot Camp the way that I have. And this podcast is then a mirroring of those principles that I have put into that boot camp. So what you can expect from this podcast is for me to bring you, good information, okay, science-based information on nutrition, fitness, what you need to implement to get to a certain goal, things that you can do at home, tons of information on that front. But I'm also going to be providing information around mindset practices, around how you stay consistent. How do you develop discipline? How do you cultivate consistency in your plan? What do you do when a limiting belief comes up? All the different things that can come up for you while you're on the fitness journey. That's what this podcast is going to be about. I'm going to be hitting you with a lot of episodes in this first month of January, because I just want to hit the gate running. And like I said, it's going to be probably be a little messy. Podcasting is new for me, although I am an educator, and I am very comfortable with the programming that I have in place with my clients. It's actually pretty wonderful and magical. Coming out on a podcast is something that is entirely new. And to anyone that's doing anything new, whether you're new on a fitness journey, new on a weight loss journey, learning new information for the first time, doing maybe something different than you've done in the past that hasn't led you to having, sustainable success. Whenever we're learning a new skill, we need to let it be messy at first. We can't expect to do it at a perfect time. Life always has something that's going to throw our way. So we're always going to be busy. We're always going to be caught up in something, and waiting for the perfect moment, or to have all of the perfect information, or to know how to do it perfectly, stops us ultimately from getting where we want to go, because we aren't taking those initial action steps. So thank you for being here with me. Thank you for understanding that as I take these first steps and I learn as I go, it might be a little bit messy at first. as I figure this out. But I'm not going to let that stop me from taking action, because success is not built from doing things perfectly. Success is built from taking consistent action over time. I have never done anything perfect in my life. And I always encourage my clients when they're doing one of the programs or working with me one on one, that they understand I have not done anything perfect in my life, and I have still gotten to success in my fitness journey and been able to maintain that, because I understand it doesn't need to be perfect. I understand that it is about taking consistent action over time. So we are going to do that together in 2024. We're going to take consistent action over time. I'm going to be bringing you information, inspiration, motivation, all the things on this podcast. And I'm really excited for the journey and what it might unlock for you and what we will discover together. If you are interested in the boot camp, it is currently 20% off for the next couple days as the new year gets rolling. So if you're hearing this podcast and you are interested in that boot camp, I believe you can find enrollment on my website at templezena.com under Fit Goddess Bootcamp, and the discount code is 2020, capital O, capital FF. That special will be going for a couple more days. If you are interested in taking a look at that, you can also email me, message me. And as we get rolling, I will share with you more about different programs that I have going. But right now, I just want to get us really, my purpose is to get us really integrated into this podcast series. So stay tuned, and I will be seeing you in the next podcast episode. Happy New Year. Let's make 2024 the year that you unleash your Fit Goddess. So I hope you will subscribe and join me as we continue on.